both debates over and done with, and just a week to go until the election, Joe Biden remains the firm favourite at a fixed odds price of 4 to 11, an electoral college vote spread of 312 to 320, and a total states won spread of 25.25 to 26.75. In comparison, Trump is at 15 to 18, 218 to 226, and 24.25 to 25.75 respectively. However, Biden has seen a tightening in the last week or so, if not in the polls and certainly in SpreadX's prices, with the Democrat falling from a peak electoral college vote spread of 321 to 329. Like a lumbering movie monster, Trump just won't stay down, but can he still pull off another shock victory? If he can, the market's biggest questions will be over a COVID-19 stimulus package. Despite House Speaker Nancy Pelosi signaling that she and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin are just about there on the details of a relief plan, which reportedly runs to $1.8 trillion, the chances of a deal getting passed are slim. With the election so close, there is very little incentive to get an agreement in place. Why would either side want to get a deal done, especially blue wave-praying Democrats, when the country's political landscape could have completely shifted in a week and a half's time? Even if agreement between Pelosi and the White House could be reached, and given the finger pointing over the weekend, that seems unlikely, it would then need to get past the Republican-controlled Senate, and with a fiercely opposed Mitch McConnell in charge, a pre-election sign-off seems almost impossible. That would push the issue into the murky waters of the lame duck period ahead of January's inauguration, with the Republicans either seeking to celebrate Trump's second term or create the most difficult inheritance possible for the newly elected Biden. Moving on to the economic calendar, the biggest number of the week arrives on Thursday, as the US posts its third quarter GDP figure. The second quarter was a thing of nightmares, with the economy contracting by 32.9% at the annualized rate. This time, analysts are expecting almost exactly the opposite number, with forecasts suggesting growth of 30% plus, the estimate roughly coming in at around 32%. Talking of the election, it'll be interesting to see whether that Q3 growth figure does anything for Trump's polling and prices as the race enters its last few days. It's sort of a big thing Trump could point to as he tries to collect, those last few swing voters by pointing to sort of the economic recovery seen underneath his regime. Elsewhere, there's new home sales on Monday, durable goods orders and CB consumer confidence on Tuesday, the goods trade balance figure on Wednesday, jobless claims on Thursday, and the core PCE price index, Chicago PMI, and revised consumer sentiment numbers on Friday. It's also a pretty colossal week for US earnings. The highlights are Microsoft on Tuesday, and then Apple, Amazon, and Google parent Alphabet all on Thursday. Of those, the online retail monolith may post the most blockbuster numbers. One of the true winners of the pandemic, Amazon is expected to see a 32.4% surge in revenue to $92.67 billion, whilst earnings per share are looking at an eye-watering 72.2% year-on-year increase to $7.29, even though that'll be down on the $10 plus they saw in the second quarter. And bear in mind, this is in the pre-Black Friday, pre-Christmas quarter. God knows what the figures will be for the fourth quarter when they're announced next year. As I said, in terms of the week going forwards, the election is likely to increasingly become a preoccupation for investors, especially if hopes of a US stimulus plan getting done before the vote dim and dim as the week goes on. Of course, you've also then got COVID-19. A lot of the negative headlines from there are coming from Europe, with increased restrictions across the continent, with Spain recently going into a state of emergency and Italy imposing its most severe restrictions since the end of its national lockdown in May. The US isn't immune to that either, posting its biggest daily number of coronavirus cases so far over the weekend. And that's likely to really play on investors' minds as the week goes on, perhaps even surpassing the election as their main focus, which doesn't bode well for the markets, given how much they've fallen recently on coronavirus headlines.